Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. Right now, I'm going to do a response to a couple of videos that I saw about the killing of Paul O'Neill. The first video is a video that Jay Miller posted about this subject, and the second video is a video that MRSUPERBOY posted on this subject. I was inspired to do this video right now after listening to King Sirius's video here on YouTube. I will post links to all of these videos so that you can watch them for yourself. So I'm going to proceed to provide a brief summary of the facts in this case. And for those of you who have not seen my first video on this subject, I will post a link in the cards. And after I provide a summary of the facts in the case, I'm going to provide a brief summary of some of the things that Jay Miller said in his video and some of the things that MRSUPERBOY said in his video. And then I'm going to provide my analysis and my response. So here you have a young man who stole a Jaguar vehicle in the suburbs of Chicago. The police encounter him while he's driving this Jaguar. The police are heading towards him. He sideswipes the police, and the police begin to shoot at him as he is fleeing in the vehicle. As he's fleeing, and as the police are firing shots at him, as two police officers are firing shots at him, he collides into another police vehicle. It's worth noting that the police are firing shots in the direction of other police officers. So after Paul O'Neill crashes into the other police vehicle, he jumps out of the car and he runs behind some houses. He jumps over a fence to a backyard, and a third police officer fires shots at him, fatally shooting him in the back once, killing him. None of the shots that were fired while he was in the vehicle hit him. One shot that hit him in the back is the shot that killed him. All of this is captured on video. The only thing that's not captured on video are the actual fatal shots. And as I point out in my first video on this subject, that is highly suspect. That raises all kinds of red flags. The fact that everything is captured except for the fatal shooting of this young black man. So that's a summary of what this case is about. Now, I was watching Jay Miller's video, and all he was doing was talking about personal responsibility. He was talking about criminal behavior, and obviously no one condones stealing vehicles. No one condones criminality. So that's not even the real issue here. And both of these men, Jay Miller and MRSUPERBOY, they go on and on about criminality. They go on and on about personal responsibility. They talk about how people are misguided, engaging in these types of activities. They talk about the fact that this young man committed grand theft auto and he evaded the police. And Harvey went on to talk about how this suspect, Paul O'Neill, ran from the scene. And he talked about how we cannot keep defending criminals. And he said that he doesn't have any love or respect for a criminal. And he went on to say he's not going to defend every black person. He said that he cannot defend criminals. So that's basically what these guys were saying. They were emphasizing the criminal behavior. They were basically saying that this young man caused his own death. And I just need to respond to this, because what we have here is a case where they are not really addressing the core issue here. The core issue is not the criminal behavior of this young man. Everybody condemns the criminal behavior. No one is on here saying they support car theft, that they support people running from the police, that they support criminality. That's not the issue. The issue right now is the conduct of the police. The issue right now is whether or not the police were justified in killing this brother. That's the main issue. That is the issue. Did they have a legal justification for killing this brother? That's what we need to focus on. The police are supposed to be professionals. The police are supposed to protect and serve. That's the issue. So to address that issue, we have to deal with the actual law. And there's a Supreme Court case. The name of that case is Tennessee versus Garner. It was decided in 1985. And that case held that under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, when a law enforcement officer is pursuing a fleeing suspect, he or she may not use deadly force to prevent escape unless the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or others. That is the legal standard. That's what the law says. So the question is whether or not the police could use deadly force in this case to prevent Paul O'Neill from escaping. And according to this legal standard, they cannot use deadly force because they had no probable cause to believe that Paul O'Neill posed a significant threat of death. He was unarmed. He was fleeing the police. He had his back to the police. At that point, he didn't pose any kind of threat to anyone. When he was killed, he was not in the car. So at that point, the car was not a quote-unquote weapon being used when he was shot. He was shot in the backyard of someone's house, running from the police, unarmed, shot in the back without justification. He didn't pose a threat. How could he pose a threat if he's running? How could he pose a threat if he had no gun, if he had no weapon? So that's the standard right there. The police need to be the focus. They acted outside of the law. The fact that this young man committed grand theft auto, that is a matter for the courts to adjudicate. It is not the role of the police to be judge, jury, and executioner. And that's essentially what they did here. They judged that brother and they executed that brother on the spot. And black people should be outraged, regardless of this young man's criminal background, regardless of the type of upbringing that this young man had been exposed to. It doesn't matter if he was raised in a single-parent household or not. That's not the core issue here. The issue, again, is whether or not these police were justified in killing this brother. Now, some have said, well, he used the car as a weapon. He used the car as a weapon. That's what some of these people are saying. Number one, when he was shot, he was outside of the car, as I said. He was running. So at that point, the car being used as a weapon is not even relevant. And also, the Chicago Police Department has a policy against firing at or into a moving car when the vehicle is the only potential use of force by the suspect. That's reported in the news. And I will post links to that. It's reported in the Chicago Tribune and other respectable news sources. So I'll post a link to that. We have to get out of the habit of attacking victims, of demonizing victims, of basically jumping on the bandwagon. We have to get out of that habit. Obviously, I don't condone what this young brother did. Obviously, I don't condone somebody stealing a vehicle. Obviously, I think that people need to be taught about how to interact with the police. Obviously, in these times and days, where these police are just killing black people with impunity, obviously, we should minimize our interactions with the police. Obviously, we should do so. And one way to minimize our interactions with these police is to not engage in criminal activity. So that's without saying. That's obvious. But these police have a duty to the public. They have a duty to follow the Constitution. They have a duty to respect all human life, even if that human being committed a crime. So those are my thoughts on this issue. Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace. And before I go, I just have one other thing to add, and that's this. Those police showed no regard for this young man's life. Not only did they take his life, after he was fatally shot, one of the police officers kicked him and cursed at him while he was dying. And then two other officers shook hands and congratulated each other on a job well done after killing his brother. Those police didn't know what was going on. They were completely clueless, shooting in the direction of each other. They didn't know whether or not shots had been fired from the suspect. So they are the ones that need to be condemned for their lack of professionalism, for their complete disregard for black lives, for their complete disrespect of this young brother. They're the ones that should be condemned. They should be our focus.